And so in the stillness, in the silence of the presence of being, we discover and remember the true essence nature. We discover the one essence of all it is. And what we discover in this true nature is the essential innocence, the untainted, pristine purity of our true essence nature. What we discover here is that our essence nature is deeply peaceful and wildly joyful, exuberantly joyful. We can get lost in the seriousness. But the truth is that this unfolding to true nature is not a path of seriousness. It's a path of joy, of wonder, of awe. It's a remembrance of the innocence and natural, playful, joyful essence that we are before we learn to be serious and constrained and held back. There can be an attachment with the idea of a spiritual path, that to be sincere, to be earnest in this path is to have a quality of seriousness and really forget about the joy that is the true essence nature, and that is at the heart of everything. That the true nature is happiness. And in a way, the measure, the marker of this unfolding is how happy are you? How much joy is there in the life? Because where there seems to be a holding of seriousness or a holding of feelings that don't feel joyful and naturally happy and content, this is the pointing, in a way, it's life's pointing to where we are holding frequencies of fear and discordance that block the natural flow of the playful innocence and joy of who we are. We can imagine that to be sincere is to be serious. But what if to be sincere is to be wildly joyful? To be absolutely committed to joy? To be absolutely committed to a quality of freedom that is truly free, that isn't held in any ideas. Can be an idea that to be one-pointed is to be serious. But it's not so. Just as we can imagine that to be humble, to have humility, is to put yourself down, to keep making yourself small, imagining that if you revel in this any sense of unworthiness, that makes you humble. But actually, true humility is a willingness to absolutely embrace the beauty, the gorgeousness, the incredibleness, and the glory of who you are. It takes the most extraordinary humility to receive yourself in your fullness, to receive the glory of the true essence nature. And it's not about personality. It's not about doing anything. It's not about worldly achievements. It's all about the frequency that we are living at, the frequency that is the transmission of your life, that is the expression of your life. And so wherever there is a sense of constraint, wherever there is a sense of limitation, a sense of holding back, even a sense of seriousness, it is an opportunity to find out what is being invited here, what is surfacing from the unconscious here that offers an opportunity to see, illuminate, welcome, and meet in the presence of love, in the presence of joy. Meet the discordant frequencies that can be holding. That in a way, the true maturing in this unfolding is to flower into more of the childlike, playful, joyful exuberance that is the natural expression of freedom. To move in a freedom that is not looking for permission, is not imagining that you have to keep making life hard, that you have to push certain situations, that you're absolutely free. You're free to be free, and you are free to be bound. You are free to stay. You are free to go. You are free to dance. You are free to play. You are free to sing. You are free to express yourself in any way that your heart feels free to move. That we meet the true nature of the ecstatic. The ecstatic is this unbridled wildness and freedom and openness to just be yourself, to shine the glory of the wide open heart. And that in truth, every heart is longing to shine and be expressed in this way. But we can be so caught up looking for permission and approval and validation in the reflection of the world and the characters in the play. But it is to remember it's all a play. Be the watcher of the play. Be the playful one in the play. See that it's a play, a divine play, and it's all playing itself out. It's acting itself out, dancing itself out joyfully in order to set every fiber of patterning that is held in any kind of idea of limitation. It's dancing itself. The whole play of life is dancing itself to free itself, to bring itself to the exuberant joy, the wild felicity of a heart that is deeply at peace and wildly free. Mm-hmm. And so the whole of the life is being created out of the fiber of consciousness. It's not a personal life. It's not a personal doing in any way. Consciousness itself is creating always the most profound possibility that it can create out of the consciousness that is available and out of the frequency that is available. So the more that we are living in this frequency of love, of joy, of openness, then life is creating out of this frequency It is a field of infinite possibility. Anything is possible, way beyond what we could ever imagine. We are not limited by the mind and the ideas of the ways that we are limited. If you continue to believe and define yourself as being in any kind of lack, whether it is in lack within your resources, in any way, your resources, your shelter, your food, your financial stability, whether you keep confirming, I'm in lack, I don't have enough, I don't have a lot, or whether you are in the frequency of lack within relationship, I'm not loved, I'm not really wanted, I'm not really seen, the grass is greener, I could just get out of here. What about this one? What about that one? What about something different? What if I was free? If we're moving from a sense of lack, we will create the appearance of lack in the life. And the appearance of lack is coming so that we feel the sense of lack, but not so that we then imagine that we can fill our boots and our life. Oh, maybe this will bring me more abundance. Maybe this will be better, this job, this relationship, this situation, right? It's not playing so that we keep distracting in the world with ideas of how we can get more. It's showing us that the deep frequency that we're creating from is a belief in lack, which is essentially separation. And what we're being invited is to refine the frequency from which we are creating the appearance of life, from which consciousness is creating the appearance of life. It's never about anyone else, and it's never about the situation. The situation is always reflecting to you what you cannot see in your vibrational frequency makeup, right? Can be another side effect of a so-called deeply spiritual life, is the idea that lack is part of a spiritual life, but it's not, right? It can be an idea that part of a spiritual life is to struggle, but it's not. It can be an idea that it's part of a spiritual life to have to be in difficult circumstances and hardship, challenge, but it's not the truth. It's not the spiritual life that is hard and challenging and intense. What is hard and challenging and intense is a reflection to show us the frequency of discordant patterning that we are creating from, and that we are living in, and that we're being shown the possibility to meet what is unconscious in the life and refine. So if we have stresses in areas of financial stability and abundance, if we have stresses in areas of family dynamics, if we have stresses in the area of the physical body, if we have stresses in the area of relationship, this is all showing us where we have patterns of unconscious, and the unconscious is trying to surface so that we can meet the frequencies of the unconscious and the discordance in order to refine those frequencies and start to resonate more at the frequency of love, aligned with source. There are so many misconceptions about what a spiritual journey is all about. But essentially, if we are to truly open to spirit, in a way, we are being invited to let go of all ideas and concepts of what spirituality is until we actually experience directly reality, and to live reality, live the joy and freedom and glory of this moment here now. That is, let's say, reality is spirit, is true spirit. And true spirit is the true nature, is the innocence and the joy and the freedom. Spirit is free, right? Remember, free spirit. Spirit is free. Spirituality is essentially freedom. But we have learned within the conceptual world that spirituality kind of binds us. Anything that binds us, anything that binds us, in truth, even being bound to one set of teachings, one teacher, being bound by an idea that I have to belong and I have to. All of that is part of the mind's creation and belief in the need to be bound and serious, right? It's all the mind's creation that I don't have the capacity and I need someone else to tell me what to do, right? All of that eventually will dissolve. It has to dissolve. How can there be freedom if there's being bound to anything in the objective world? The meeting in love is a meeting that is in utter freedom, where there is only love. There are no roles, no hierarchies, right? And this, in truth, is the, the absolute essence of what Guru is. Guru is the light, and we have the Guru light inside us, and the Guru light is life as well. All of life as well is the guiding grace. And sometimes beings arrive in the life that we call Guru because they guide us. But we're not here to give power away. We're not here to imagine that that being has something that we don't. The greatest grace for any being that carries the principle of light is for a being, a companion, to see through all projections and realize the absolute oneness, and that the guiding principle is the light itself, and that all beings have exact equal access to the light. And it is just the bounds of the unconscious field and the belief system that keeps us believing that we don't have access to the very same light. All beings have access to the very same light. It is a field of light. We are made of light. There is only light, right? The field of grace is a field of light. And the grace field creates the appearance of companions and guides and beings to point us, guide us, to companion us in all kinds of ways, in ways that feel smooth and in ways that feel challenging at times, but all part of the grace of the light, the one light. And we have absolute access to the light. We don't need anyone as a go-between, right? We have absolute access in this moment to the glory of our own heart, the glory of the light that is, the glory of the field of grace, that we have absolute access to it all. What keeps us in the imagining that we don't have access are the beliefs and ideas that we are limited, right? And so we're invited to bathe in the field of light And the field of light is the field of the presence of being in the presence of now. And we're invited to receive all of life as the Guru's grace, all of life as the grace. That the grace, the Guru, the self, the love, it's all the same. We have to perhaps be so aware of what meaning we give to certain words, when so many words actually mean all the same thing. And it's all about the meaning that we attribute that can be the difference between how bound and how free we are. But when we are in the belief in lack, and we are, let's say, the source of our creation is a sense of lack and being bound, we will create an appearance of a life that binds us. We'll hide in dynamics where we feel powerless and that the power is outside us, because we're holding a frequency of lack. We're holding a frequency that I'm not worthy. We're holding a frequency that has us project the power and the love and the grace and the beauty upon other characters on the stage of life, because our lack tells us that I don't have that, but these other characters do. Right? So it's this idea that I will never be free, I will never be worthy, I will never be rich, I will never be loved, I will never have what I long for. But by the glory of all that is, every being has the possibility to open to the most incredible possibilities in this lifetime. That if we're committed to small, out of some idea that to play it small is about being humble, then that is the frequency of fear, the frequency of separation. We're here to live a life that is created out of the frequency of love, because a life that is created out of the frequency of love is first and foremost a life that is joyful, a life that is fun and playful and beautiful and glorious. It's a life where the heart is peaceful. It is a life that doesn't need things because it's rich and full. But a life lived in the frequency of love is a life that is so joyously in service to the whole, because the life being lived is the upliftment. It is the upliftment of the whole frequency. The more that we are living and transmitting and resonating at the frequency of love, joy, beauty, freedom, peace, that frequency is the emanation of the life and the transmission. Whatever is happening in the life, that is the transmission. Life is glorious. Life is attempting to live itself without the confines of a personal story. It's trying to shake itself free of where there is personal story. It's trying to really shake itself free. It's trying to shake free all of the unconscious binding ideas and concepts, and so that the jubilant frequencies of joy and fun and love and peace and beauty and awe and wonder can be lived right on the surface of life, that reality can be realized on the surface of life. So in this moment, what a graced opportunity just to illuminate where in the life is there struggle? Where in the life does it feel like intensity or challenge or discordance? Where in the life are you not free? Where in the life do you feel bound? Where in the life could there be an invitation for a little more joy, a little more openness, a little more dynamic flow? Just to illuminate these areas now. The field is open, the field is light, and the field is inviting the possibility to just bring conscious illumination. And to bring conscious illumination is to invite and open to the possibility that where there is limitation is some kind of unconscious holding pattern, some kind of blind spot, something that is not being seen. And so the invitation is that in this wide open field of light right now, that the light can shine upon the patterns of discordant, and the dynamic flow of life can flow and bring the light to these patterns of discordance, to these areas of the life that it feels like there is lack and deficiency and a sense of freedom that is missing in its holistic frequency. So just noticing, what are the areas? You don't have to think about it. They just pop in, right? Just allow a very natural process. Just allow what's ready to surface from the unconscious just to pop in. It will just pop in like images or words. Your heart will just start to feel like, okay, these are the areas. This is the area. And there could even be a surprise appearance, a guest appearance from something that you didn't anticipate, something that feels sticky, something that doesn't feel clear. Just let whatever wants to be illuminated and is ready to surface right now, just have the flow of surfacing and joining the current of the flow. Let the light shine upon. There's nothing to do, nothing to do. It's just to be the witness of this process as it's happening. Witness the appearance. Witness as things appear. Sometimes it can bring some sensation in the nervous system. Let the sensation just be the flow of life, the dynamic flow of consciousness, flowing to move and clear and release, purify and refine, reorganize the structures of the consciousness right now, that there's a natural flow happening. And as soon as we illuminate and we bring forward the possibility, the flow just starts to happen. And in this moment, the possibility to let your holy yes, just say yes, great glory, yes, beloved, divine mother of all that is, great glorious light. Release these patterns, free these karmic obscurations, carry the patterns of discordance and the belief in lack and deficiency, the belief in unworthiness, the belief that there is some kind of scarcity or disharmony in these areas. Let these areas that don't feel absolutely pristine and exuberantly joyful be untangled and freed from the discordant patterning into the light, into the free-flowing light of all that is. Let everything that cannot see itself clearly be mirrored right now in the light and the glorious, true, divine, pristine patterning of essence, frequency, of perfect love, of spotless love. Let everything that is ready to surface from the unconscious in the field be carried, be unraveled, be illuminated. Let every fiber of consciousness that does not know its purity recognize the light at its core and untangle and disperse the fog, the veils, the seeming veils, and let the frequency of light, of love, that is the flow of life, the flow of abundance, come right to the surface of life. Let every cell and fiber of my being and life be filled with this frequency of light, with this frequency of love. Let every fiber of this life, the consciousness that I am in true nature, be untangled and unwound and freed into the glorious resonance of love. And just to open now and to feel the frequency of the current of the dynamic flow entering your system in direct experience. There's a sense of it entering the system and a sense of opening to the field, and how simultaneously that is one and the same. Your system, your nervous system, is the field. Opening to the field is opening to your own consciousness, and opening to your own consciousness is to open to the whole field of consciousness, and to allow the sense of personal and the sense of tangle to be untangled in the wide open field of all that is. To allow the recognition that you are safe, that you are loved, that you are light, that you are held, that you are not just enough, but that you overflow in abundance and fullness, that your frequency is spotless, that your frequency in the areas that you have been illuminating, whether that's an area of relationship, an area of family, an area of work. Whatever that is, it's just to open to the areas of discordance. Be the light that can see. Be the light that illuminates. Recognize that the light itself is bright and unchanging. Recognize that the light itself is ever, ever bright and ever free, and is illuminating the areas where there is a sense of discordance or lack, in order to bring the unconscious into the light of consciousness, in order to bring that which feels to be limited into the unlimited. That none of this is personal, although it has this glorious sense of feeling like it has a quality of uniqueness that can feel like a quality of personal, but that uniqueness is, it's not personal as in divided, but it is unique and undivided in the flow of the whole. And really, in a way, what we are being invited into is to flow in the flow of wholeness, the flow of the one, the flow of the glorious dynamic wisdom of life, to enter the current and be carried To enter the current and be carried is to be carried by the light, to be carried by the Sat Guru, to be carried by love itself, by the mother, to be carried and held and carried into the deeper, finer frequencies of your very, very own self. That you are coming to know nothing other than your very own self. And any seeming reflection of yourself is just a companion to bring you into the remembrance of the glory of your own heart of wholeness. And the divine play sets us up in exactly the configurations, situations, and circumstances in order to reveal where we are holding a sense of lack and to release the feelings that are held and pent up around that sense of lack. That where there is a sense of frustration, anxiety, stress, fear, anger, all of these feelings are feelings of really a holding a sense of lack, a sense of just not really living your fullness. And most often the sense of frustration and anger and stress is really all directed to yourself. The fight, the fight within, even if it can seem like it's being projected to other situations, it's usually always just with yourself, feeling frustrated that you're not living your fullness, you're not shining your light, that you're just simply not having enough fun, right? Oh no, how can that possibly be spiritual? How can I be one-pointed and serious and still be having fun? Exactly. That's exactly where the area of stress, the area of fracture lies, right? That's where the fracture is. That we believe that to have fun is somehow not holy, whereas actually fun is the most holy measure of our freedom, right? For life to feel smooth and easeful and joyful and brilliant and fun and playful and beautiful, delicious and rich and abundant is holiness. It is holiness. For our relationships to feel nourishing and joyful is holiness. And where our relationships don't, it's an invitation to find out, well, how am I dividing? How am I dividing? How am I resisting myself, right? Because all resistance is of yourself, is of God, is of love itself. How am I resisting love here? How am I resisting Divine Mother here? How am I resisting the light here? And how am I then complaining that the divine is not giving me what I want when I am resisting what I am being given? How can I open to stop resisting myself? How can I stop always looking for something better? How can I stop living in an idea that the grass is always greener, that others have more than I do, or a better life, or a better relationship, or a better adventure, or a better family, better parents? How can I stop living in this idea that the grass is greener outside of my life and just receive the grace of this life as the grace of myself? How am I resisting myself here? How am I resisting my own heart here? How am I moving from a frequency where I don't feel like I deserve love? I don't deserve abundance. I don't deserve an amazing relationship. I don't deserve to have a smooth and joyful family life. I don't deserve to have a job or a way of serving the glory that feels holistic and nourishing and deeply dharmic? How am I holding a frequency of not deserving, of not being worthy, and therefore resisting what comes into my life because I cannot see the glory that's dancing in front of me? All right? When we are holding that frequency of lack, we cannot see even when there is beauty right in front of our eyes. We miss it because our frequency is telling us to look for a vibrational match, look for lack, look for hardship, look for stress, look for deficiency. So we see what we are. We see what we are. We see the frequency that we're holding. And this is the grace of a consciousness that reflects to us the frequencies that we are holding. Whatever is difficult and stressful in the life is showing us where we are holding a frequency of limitation. And of course, the mind says, well, I don't want to be holding that. I want to let go of that. Yeah, of course. But we can't do the letting go. And we can't do fixing it. We can't do make it better. Get me out of here. Bring me something better. Let me numb this. Let me change this. Let me find a better job, a better house, a better partner. Let me find something that's better, right? What we're actually being shown is, how am I resonating at a frequency that feels undeserving? How am I resonating at a frequency that sees like, that one is better than me, that one is trying harder, that one is more devoted, that one has more money, right? How am I resonating? And can I just rest in the frequency of what feels like difficult, what feels like hardship, what feels like stress, what feels like resistance, what feels like grief, what feels like frustration, anger? Can I recognize these feelings are here and these feelings are my feelings because I'm not living the fullest of my natural potential? And, you know, again, the mind could say, oh, well, if I'm spiritual, I should be like a monk that doesn't want any kind of potential. But your natural potential is to live as love, is to live at the frequency of wholeness. Your natural potential isn't about, oh yeah, I want, you know, a townhouse, a country house, and a house in the ski hills, and I want a car in every destination, and I'd like a Lamborghini, you know, just so I can go really fast and feel really, really good about myself, that I've got a fast car and it shows, you know, it shows it's a demonstration of my wealth, or that I need this kind of job or this kind of relationship. It's not about material possession reaching your full true potential, your natural potential. To reach your natural potential is to open to the abundance of life. And what kind of life do you need to be living to be receiving the grace and the glory of the frequency of love? What kind of relationship do you need to open to? What kind of maybe sense of freedom and no relationship do you need to open to? What is it realizing that you don't need a partnership, but you have this, you can open to an extraordinary circle of companions that offer the grace of community and nourishment and reflection and joyous love and fun times, right? That we open to recognize that whatever we are being given is the grace of what the wisdom light is offering us. And can we receive the grace, and the grace of what feels like grace, and the grace of what doesn't feel like grace? That when we open to it all, we're meeting our own unconscious frequencies that are holding, resisting, and essentially holding us back from a deeper, fuller attunement with the glory, with our own heart. That all resistance is resistance of our own heart. All resistance is resisting the love that we are in our true nature. It's not ever about anyone else. It's about, can we open out of denial to receive the grace and fullness of the love that we are, the joy that we are, the splendor and the beauty that we are? Can we be humbled out of our concepts and ideas of how it needs to be hard and stressful and challenging, and open to the glorious joy and playfulness and really wild adventure of this life? That in truth, opening to the natural full potential of a human life and opening to the divinity of what we are isn't about turning away from life. It's about embracing all of life, so that we come to recognize that all of life is divine, all of life is divinity, and that we can open to all of the frequencies as the one frequency of love, that we can open to it all. And we recognize the divinity of all of life by recognizing the divinity that we are, of our own heart, that we recognize the light that we are. And when we start to really resonate at this frequency of light, of love, we start to see the reflection of life. It's showing us the abundance, the beauty, and the grace. We start to see it like blinkers off, right? Blinkers off. Wow. We start to see the wow of life, that there are no limitations. There's nothing holding us back but the frequency of limitation that we are believing in, right? So we're only ever a thought away from freedom. And that thought is the belief that we are lacking, that we are not whole, that we're undeserving, unworthy, unlovable. And ultimately, we're being invited to really resonate at the frequency of remembrance that knows there is only one thing happening here, and that is love. There is only one thing happening here, and that is love. Nothing is mine, everything is yours. This heart of light is yours. This heart of light is yours. There is only you and the divine until you disappear into the remembrance of only the divine, of only one. There is only one thing happening here, and that is love. We could say there is only one thing happening here, and that is God. We could say there is only one thing happening here, and that is the Guru's grace. There is only one thing happening here, and that is Divine Mother's Leela, her blessing, her grace. We could say there is only one thing happening here, and it is the infinite flow of life at the frequency of pure potentiality. And that pure potentiality is a frequency that is truth, honesty, transparency. It's a frequency that is so fine and pristine and pure. It is deeply silent and still, and yet wildly alive in the potency and potentiality of the absolute infinity of what it is. That nothing is fixed. Everything is open. There's only light here. You are made of light. Your whole life is made of light. And everything can shift and change and morph in an instant as the frequency of your heart shifts to resonating at the frequency of love, of joy, of the pristine. And the pristine isn't about, oh, how am I ever going to clean up my act? And so I'm pristine. The pristine is joy. The pristine is the light that is ever itself, always the same. There is only one thing happening here, and it is the one self. It is bliss. It is light. It is divinity. And so receiving these frequencies of transmission of the field of light into your heart, into your nervous system, into the whole field of your consciousness and the patternings that make you, you, as part of the one whole field, allowing the patterns to be upgraded, reconfigured, feeling the sensation and aliveness and the energetics of these flows reconfiguring. Feel the current carrying you. Let your heart be flooded with the frequency of love as a frequency of light, of incredible, soft, but vibrant light. Let the heart be flooded, and let that flooded heart flow out into every single cell and fiber of your being. So every cell is alive with the light at the frequency of love. Notice that you may well feel as this frequency of light in the field is resonating more finely in your sense of consciousness, of your nervous system. You may feel more of the frequency around your head, in your head, at the back of your head, at the base of the skull, inside and outside and all around, as light, as resonance, as frequency, as the system is being upgraded. The system is being refined so that finer frequencies can be recognized. And the great connection to the glory, the light connection to the glory that comes into the system as consciousness in every cell that you're made of, and also comes in seemingly from above. There is just light resonating everywhere. And to recognize this light is to feel the frequency, the resonance of the light in your nervous system. As the light is clearing the patterns of discordance, illuminating. And sometimes the way that the illumination happens is by bringing forward and purifying more tender or stressful feelings. So don't feel like it's not happening if you are feeling a little stressed or frustrated, a little agitated. That is too how the purification can happen. That is how the light is moving in all its glory. It's just to receive it and just to allow the grace to flow in the field. The The flow is restoring everything to its divine frequency that is ready to be restored. And as you can feel the frequency and the current in the nervous system, it feels like a current that is dynamic aliveness. It feels like a joy and an alive flow. And it can also feel like a deep stillness that is so peaceful, so unmoving, such a deep-rooted presence and silence and stillness. So just resting here, just resting here. Receiving, really recognizing the resonance of the field of your nervous system. Can feel it as silence, as stillness. Feel it as a deep peace. And where the heart knows this presence of being as yourself, can feel that knowing flowing as a dynamic flow that is flowing everywhere. Whatever is happening, just to allow it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nothing is wrong. Everything is the same grace. Just receiving and not resisting. Just opening and opening in the inner yes that says yes, yes. Shift and upgrade and recalibrate this system so that there can be more capacity, greater intuition, and a deeper resonance at the frequency of perfect, spotless love. That there be the power of knowing that can illuminate all of the ways that limitation wants to play, and allow all of the frequencies that are ready to be held in such love, in such holding, that they may volunteer themselves into the flow and the current and remembrance of the One. May everything that feels to be discordant remember itself as love, as joy, as beauty, as being more than deserving, but as being the fullness of wholeness itself, of being that which has never been divided, has never lacked, and is resonating at that frequency of wholeness, of remembrance. Thank you, thank you, thank you for receiving. Thank you for receiving yourself. Thank you for receiving your own heart more deeply. Thank you for receiving the love that you are more profoundly, more subtly. Thank you for receiving the joy that you are more exuberantly, more wildly, more playfully. Thank you for remembering the essence, nature, frequency, and resonance, and joining in this wide open field. Just to feel the aliveness and the flow. This life is for joy, enjoy. This life is for the glory to be in constant celebration of itself, having fun, enjoying, sharing, caring, loving, giving, being together in this frequency. And as we are together in this frequency, there's a natural resonant sharing with the whole. And the more that we live this frequency, it ripples out to our companions and families and the beings that we connect with, not by needing to tell anyone about it or do anything, but just through the frequency and the resonance of the heart's vibration. To love and to be an embodied emanation of this love right on the surface of life, and to let that flow of creative inspiration allow there to be a unique expression that feels joyful and fun. And imagine that that is your Dharma, right? When you are in your Dharma, you are having fun, you are joyful, right? It's not a slog. It's not about it being hard. It's not about, you just keep showing up for 50 years until you retire and you get the golden clock that then you put on your retirement mantelpiece that tells you what time it is to go and play golf, right? It's not about that. It's not about that. But if that brings you joy, if that is fun, great glory, alleluia, right? But if it's not, if that is not the greatest joy of your heart, then just feel into the frequency of what is, right? Start living at the frequency of what is. What is the capacity of this life? Wow. What is the frequency? What is the frequency of being in a relationship that feels absolutely beautiful and open and caring? What is the frequency? Let it be so. What is the frequency of being in companionships and sharing that feels really nourishing and free and rich and fun? Again, live in this frequency now in your heart and start to be the frequency that starts to create that. Realize that this is the free spirit. This is the truth. And it's not about looking around and trying to find it in others. It's about being the frequency. When we are the frequency, we're living it. The wholeness, the fullness is in our own heart. It's not in others. It's not, I need friends, a partner, a family that brings me joy. It's, I am the joy. I am the joy. And then everything else starts to resonate at the frequency of the joy that you are, right? Everything starts to resonate at the frequency that you are. And you start to realize, oh, my family are beautiful. I love them. My family are so beautiful. I just didn't see them before. I'm so loved, right? Oh, my partner is so beautiful. I just didn't see my partner because I wasn't able to see myself in the frequency of love and joy I realize, right? It's that we start resonating at a frequency. And if things are not a match, they just naturally fall away. They fall away so that we're living in the fullness and the joy and the wholeness of heart, that we're not living from need or fear or holding on to. We're living from a deep frequency of it's so much deeper than worthiness. It's a deep knowing that we belong to wholeness and that our natural potential is to live fully, joyfully, in love, in grace. And whatever that life is to look like, and every life will flower uniquely. And every life will offer the possibility to meet what is unconscious and limited in our system and to free it. The living of life is the opportunity to free it all, right? Such incredible grace. Such incredible grace to recognize that this is not about challenge and seriousness, that one-pointedness and wholeheartedness is a commitment to joy and love, not a commitment to stress and challenge. Being sincere and committed isn't about making it a struggle, or that somehow the struggle makes me feel like I'm being a good spiritual being. It's recognizing that struggle is concept. It's not that meeting the unconscious as it arises in this unfolding doesn't bring discomfort. It does. But if we commit to be in absolute awe and wonder of the grace of it all, even the discomfort, if we can commit to receiving all of the feelings as one field of grace, there is a certain smoothness that happens in the openness and the willingness, because we are really just meeting the depths of our own heart more and more fully, more and more beautifully, recognizing the true and deep safety of our own heart, the fullness and the love of our own heart, and that to meet your own heart is to open to the one heart, to open to the unified field, where we then meet. We meet in the one heart. We meet all of our companions and friends and partners and family and employees and all the beings that we encounter. We just see love. We just see the glory in it all. Undivided, seamless reality, right? This is what is unfolding, and how beautiful, how beautiful. So resting here, just receiving the frequencies, attuning, and just recognizing what is happening in your nervous system. How are you feeling? What is alive? What are you noticing? And just as there is a noticing and an upwelling, just allowing that just to be here. We'll just take a little silence here, and then we will open up for receiving your sharings and your noticings. Just taking a few moments just to drop in and really notice and receive your own heart. Notice the resonant frequency, the inner landscape. Mm. Mm. the more that we open to meet our own heart and the unconscious through the sense of what is limited in the life, we actually open to more joy, more of the divine, and more of the great glorious light field. That everything that we're longing for, where we're longing for more, for finer, for subtler, we actually find it by opening to the places that we want to resist, the places that we close, by opening to what is unconscious and holding through the places that feel difficult. We actually open to more of the finer, subtler, divine frequencies of the field. Who knew that the greatest divinity is hiding in the shadowlands? And that it's not about processing the shadowlands, it's about meeting it and being the light that illuminates, right? That the processing and processing and processing just keeps going around within a limited context. But when we open to the light, again, if we open to the light, we open to the light, we open to the light, but we're still living a life that's got these murky areas that are not being addressed. But the magic starts to really happen when we are able to meet these places, the frequencies and resonances of what feels hard. Illuminate the darkness and fill it with the remembrance of light, right? We illuminate what feels to be shadowy, veiling, foggy, hidden, unconscious. We illuminate it, and just by the presence that is unmoving and all glorious, without trying to fix or change or impose upon these places ideas of how you need to be, what you need to do, how you need to show up, without any kind of imposition. These deeply held places just start to open in the light, start to flower in the light, and start to shine their true, innocent, radiant brilliance, their colorfulness, their joyfulness, their playful, pristine beauty, right? It really is like that lotus that just pushes its way up through the mud, right? And in the light, it blossoms, it shines its radiant, unique, flowering, right? Has the beauty of a lotus, the tenacity of a little mushroom, right? It has the ability just to push up through the hardest soil. I mean, even a mushroom is a beautiful flower as well, right? That mushrooming, it's this ability to in the seeming fertile ground of the unconscious, that these places just push up in the presence of the light, push up and blossom and reveal something extraordinary has always been here. And it's been your own heart, your own beauty, right? And that sense of wholeness where there's no sense of needing anything from anything external is the flowering of your own heart that knows the love that you are.